bits of the ground bait and I threw in, feeding it to the chicks. Well, I'm using up some ground bait that I've had in stock for quite a while. Dynamite again, but this time it's match black. I didn't mean to buy match black when I bought it, but I picked up the wrong bag, so I don't know how this is going to work. Once again, I've mixed in some hemp and corn. Well, good morning folks. Well, I'm back where I was last week at Earith, my sort of favourite little lake. I was going to go over to Field's End, which is my nearest commercial, and I fish it quite a lot. I've fished it for nearly 20 years. But I started thinking about it, and it struck me for the last couple of years at Field's End, I've caught sort of mainly rudd, with the occasional largish carp thrown in for good measure. When I first started fishing it, as I say, nearly 20 years ago, it was really quite a good mixed fishery. I used to catch tench, I used to catch crucian carp quite regularly, and some very good roach, very nice roach, and the occasional carp. There were always the carp, but I decided no, I wouldn't go there. I'd come back to Earith because this is really truly a mixed fishery. Good head of tench, good head of bream, plenty of rudd. Obviously the carp come along from time to time. So that's what I decided to do. A bit of a surprise. I got here this morning and I could just about park the car. Last week I was the only one on the lake. This morning there were 5 or 6 cars. There's not a lot of parking, to be honest, and there are people all around the lake, but not where I am. Not many people want to walk around here. It's a bit too far for them. So I'm back where I was. I've made up a bit of ground bait and I've put a few balls in while I was doing everything else, setting up the cameras and everything. So we'll see how we go this week. Last week I nearly got a tench. Well, it came off at the last knockings. I sort of hooked it at the last knockings and it came off after, I don't know, a minute or so playing it. So we'll have another go today and see how we get on. So that's it for today, and well, that's not it for today, is it? That's it for the intro. So let's get going, shall we? Right, cheers. Okay, it's nearly 9:30. I probably got here, I didn't check my watch actually, but probably about 9:15, but at the time I set up all the cameras and do the ground baiting and everything else, it uses up a bit of time. Anyway, as I said in the intro, I'm back at Earith, back in the same swim, and I've more or less got the same tackle. It's my Hardy, what they call it, Hardy Marksman Specimen Avon, my speedier centre pin. But there is a change this week. I've sort of lined it. I put new line on it, £8. This is a tight swing, and even with the tench it's tight. I know 8's a bit heavy, but this is quite a powerful rod, so it can handle £8 line easily. So I've gone to £8 line, got the same float set up, waggler, a couple of shot up by the waggler, smaller shot down by the hook, and I've also gone up from a 12 to a 10. They are Drennan Super Specialist or something like that, whatever they call them. Yeah, I've gone up to a 10. I had a lot of hook pulls recently, so I'm hoping that may sort of help things a bit as well. Bait wise, same as last week really. I've got corn, I've got spam or luncheon meat. I keep calling it luncheon meat, but it's actually spam. And I bought my cheese paste again, which got me a couple of good bites last time. So that's what we're at. I've also set up my float cam again. everyone likes a float cam, but it's really tricky to actually get it working properly because you can't always get the float. Anyway, we'll have a go. Yeah, it needs to be a bit higher, I think. Yeah, having a float cam is very, very popular, but actually setting up a float cam is a real pain because you can't, you can hold a phone in your hand and zoom on it. But the problem with that is, of course, if you're fishing, you can't then easily strike on the bites. So we'll see what happens. We'll set it going. Put a bit of corn on to start with. Oh, there is one big change this week that I didn't mention. I bought a new chair. Now, my little chair that I've used on most of my outings, you will have seen it. It's a little, not much more than a stool really, but it's got a back to it. And I noticed when I got back last week that the sort of fabric had torn and the whole thing was in distinct danger of collapsing on me. As it's a 10 hook, I'm putting 3 bits of corn on. Yeah, the whole thing was in danger of collapsing on me, so I did a bit of research. And the problem with most fishing chairs, and that's interesting, there's a duck there with one duckling. Now last week there were 2 duck families, one had 3 and one had 7, I think. And I know the mortality rate for ducklings is quite high, but that would tend to imply that she's lost 2. Let's hope it's not the one who's lost 6. I have to get my glasses out today because I can't, with all the reflection off the water, I find it a bit difficult to see. Yeah, I was saying I bought this new chair, and I sort of researched all the chairs, and the big problem I've got is, if you've watched previous videos, I've got a car that is really totally impracticable for fishing. It's a 2-seater car with a smallish boot, and basically getting a fishing chair, the average fishing chair in is quite a challenge. Oh, there's 2 more. Perhaps you didn't lose them. They just set. Oh no, this is the other family. Perhaps she's now got 3. Ah, they're looking bigger. Yeah, as I was saying, finding a chair, and in the end, I found the Fox Duralite range, which is, the frame is a sort of lightweight alloy, and they do 3 sizes, and these ducks are going to catch my line in a minute, I think. Anyway, they do 3 sizes, and the smallest one comes without arms, and to be honest, it's the arms sometimes that make it difficult to get the chair in the boot. So I phoned up my tackle shop, my local tackle shop, St Ives Tackle. And I said, can I come in and just try this smallest one in the range to see if it fits in the boot? And I went up there and I gave it a go. And it just fits, a bit like a Chinese puzzle really. You have to put it in a certain way, but it does fit. And more importantly, it fits such that I can get the rest of the gear in. So now we have a much more comfy chair. As I say, no arms, but the arms sometimes get in the way, I find, especially if you've got a jacket on with things in your pocket, they catch on the, because I've got a jacket there with sort of big side pockets that I often put lots of bits and pieces in. They sometimes catch on the arms as you stand up. So anyway, I'm much more comfortable today. And weight-wise, it weighs just over 3 kilograms. And the little chair I was carrying, which is only a third of the size of this, steel framed, and it weighs 2 kilograms. So it's only added 1 kilogram to the load. Yeah, I'm going to have to get my glasses out. I find it difficult to see this float. Trouble is, it's the background of all the reflections off the reeds. Makes it difficult. That's better, the sun's gone in, or gone in a bit. Yeah, very busy here today. Very busy. Well, busy is a relative term. There's probably half a dozen anglers on the lake. And as I say, no one around on this little spot. Well, no immediate action on the sweet corn, folks. A cluster of bubbles just came up a bit further out than my float is at the moment, which may mean something has located my ground bait and is having a route around down there. So fingers crossed something will happen, but so far not a touch. I'm hoping the clouds, like last week, the clouds will gather a bit as the day goes on and we get more cloud cover. Things work better when there's cloud cover. And there's bubbles just to the right of my float. Ten hook might be a bit overkill for corn, to be honest. Perhaps I may have to drop it down a bit. But I've got luncheon meat or spam, whatever you like. I may put a bit of that on because that covers the hook completely, and I've got cheese paste which covers the hook completely. So before I start thinking about changing the hook size, I'll try those alternative baits. Yeah, no action at all on corn. I don't know, is something having a go at my float? Or is it just the ripples hitting the float? I think it's just the ripples hitting the float. Something took the luncheon meat. I've got more powerful tackle on today, so I can muscle it a bit more. Yeah, I don't think it's a bream, folks. Haven't seen it yet. It's right under my feet now. There's tench. Well, last time we were here, I had to wait till the end of the day before I lost a tench. Today we've got one quite early. It's not very big, but it certainly gave a fight. Let him have a little rest because he certainly was having a go there. Right, should we get him off the hook? as I say, not massive, but certainly gave me a go. I'm not very good at these male-female things, but I think that's a male tench. There we go, folks. Lovely fish, aren't they? Oh, don't you fall off the mat. Let's get you back in, shall we? There were bubbles coming up, not sort of strings of bubbles, but occasional bubbles coming up, sort of not necessarily right next to the float, but in the general area of where I've ground baited. So I think there are fish down there. Last week I was getting bites quite, not frequently, that's a bit slow really, but I was getting bites. I've only really had that one bite today. I've had a few, or 2 or 3 little dips that didn't go anywhere. But yeah, it's strange. Right, I've moved the float up an inch or so, and I've moved the shot a bit closer to the hook. See if I can stop that drift. There's lots of bubbles coming up. I think fish may have found my ground bait, hopefully. So it's difficult to get the line under the water because there's so much floating debris. I wonder if someone's been clearing the lilies. When I was here last week there was a sort of noticeable lily bed just to the left here, but you see the edge of it, but a lot of it seems to have gone. Yeah, there's definitely a bit of a drift. It's difficult to sort of control it. Yeah, the bites are certainly not fast and furious today, folks. I've only had one that I could really call a bite. There's been a few dips on the float, but there's movement on the reeds. There are fish moving around in those reeds, and there are bubbles here and there. Perhaps I'll try with a cheese paste in a minute, see if that produces anything. That's what the tench took last week, the one I didn't manage to get in. I tried putting a little bit of twig, a little bit of sort of very small piece, just like used like a stop to anchor the hook, to stop it pulling through the luncheon meat so easily, and I had a more positive bite when I did that. I didn't hit it, but I've done it again now. I put another piece of luncheon meat out there with a little bit of really dried grass more than a twig. Just a little bit of, there's tons of stuff laying around here. Just to stop the hook pulling through too easily. See if it'll stop whatever it is taking my luncheon meat off the hook without getting a proper bite. Some crafty fish down there. They've been taking my cheese paste and my luncheon meat off the hook and giving me no more than a couple of little blips on the float. But it is really slow in terms of bites. I'm not getting many bites at all. So it's coming up to 11 o'clock. I may stop and have a drink and a little snack and maybe put a little bit more ground bait out before I do that. Well, I just brought my luncheon meat in and you can see that the bit of sort of grass or whatever it was I had let entering the float seems to have gone, but something's had a bit of a nibble. But basically not big enough fish to do any more than that, so anyway, I'm going to have a snack now and a drink and maybe put a bit of ground bait out before I do that and see if things improve after that. Right, I'm going to go back on corn. Things are really dead at the moment. I must admit this seat is nice and soft on my bottom compared to that little chair I was sitting on. And it's wide enough to accommodate all of my bottom, whereas the chair was sort of over the edges sometimes. Yeah, I must admit I thought it would be a bit more happening today. I mean, I can't really see most of the other anglers, but I don't know if they're catching anything, but I'm not seeing much. It was a cold night last night. That probably didn't help. I would have thought some of this sun warmth is penetrating the water to liven the fish up a bit. But it really is just completely dead at the moment. I'm not even getting any little knocks on the float anymore. And it's 11:30. Yeah. Weird. I would have thought a few rudd down there would have bothered my sweet corn, but even if they couldn't get the hook in their mouths. But nought is happening at all. Nought. I feel like someone in one of those archetypal sort of fishing cartoons, you know, sitting back in the chair, floating the rest. Start again. I feel like someone in one of those archetypal fishing cartoons, you know. I'm sort of laying back in this comfy chair, watching a float that's doing nothing. Rod is resting in the rod rest, and yeah, I'm just passing the time of day really. Without fish. Yeah, it's just nothing happening. Nothing at all. I'm on cheese paste at the moment. I've tried corn. Luncheon meat stopped. I didn't even get the nibbles on luncheon meat. I was getting the nibbles on it originally. When it came back, the edges have been nibbled, but I'm not even getting that. It's just, I don't know. It's just gone dead. Let's hope after lunch. Things, unfortunately, there's no cloud cover coming over. I really thought we'd have a bit more cloud cover today, but no. It's funny, the chap fishing opposite, he's on a pole, and he had laid it down. You know, he hadn't extended it out. He hadn't, whatever they do, you know, pushed it out. And the float, and that was just in the margin, and he picked it up and there was a float, there was a roach on it. So there he is fishing at range and he caught a roach just under his feet. There's a moral in that story, isn't there? Anyway, I'll come back if anything at all happens. I'll probably come back even if it doesn't, just to let you know that. Well, quiet doesn't begin to describe it. I haven't had a bite for ages. In fact, really, I've only had sort of one real positive bite all the time I've been here, but there have been a few others that have shot away, but been nothing there, and I think they're just smaller fish, either pulling at one grain of corn or nibbling at the edge of a piece of spam. I don't know. So the only good news is there's a lot more cloud cover now. So that bright sunshine on the water is less and less. I've put some more ground bait out. The problem is the wind has been gusting quite strongly, and even though this is really well sheltered down here, it's causing the water to drift backwards and forwards. So I've got a bit of spam out there now, and I'll just sit in and see if someone will take it. Yeah, it's just gone one. I'll probably stay till about 3. So just under a couple of hours for something to happen. Let's hope. Yeah, something that just dipped that float. But that's all it ever does. It never goes away. Never know whether they're just liners. Yeah, right, we got it this time, and it's quite a reasonable fish, I think. Yeah, it's another tench, isn't it? Doesn't want to come in. Yeah, it's about the same size as the last one, I think. hooks come out again, which isn't so bad. Yeah, they're not big, but they do fight. They do battle. Imagine what a 4 or 5 pounder would do. A single bubble just came up by my float, which probably means nothing, but I thought I'd tell you. There was a slight risk of rain this afternoon, so it's gone from bright sunshine to overcast. Let's hope it just stays overcast and no more. I've got a raincoat, but I haven't got a brolly. Another bubble near my float. But the float's not doing anything. Another one, but no bites. Well, conditions now are much better really. It's overcast. Float just done something strange then. I think there may have been a liner. But it's overcast. So I'm coming up to 2 o'clock. I was going to stay about another hour or so. Whether we get anything else remains to be seen, but an awful lot of debris floating on the surface here, which is a problem. Keeps catching my line, sinking the float. These little moorhens here, they're fascinating me. I gave them some bread and the mum's picking up the crumbs and feeding it to the little ones. It's fascinating really. So it's the mum, maybe the dad. There's 2 of them here, 2 big ones. That was interesting. The reed nearest my float just knocked as if something was going past it. A succession of bubbles just came up, not near my float though. I'm sure there's fish down there. It's just proving very hard to get them today. It's quite frustrating really, because those reeds are knocking all the time over there. There are carp moving around down there. Not that I particularly want a big carp, because I probably won't get it in, but the fact are there are fish moving around, there are bubbles coming up occasionally. I can't get a bite, which is just weird really. Perhaps they're interested in doing other things rather than feeding, I don't know. It's that time of year. Well, I've just cast out a bit of lunch and meat. I'm going to have a couple more casts. It's just gone 2:30, and I'm going to probably call it, because I'm just not getting any bites. The 2 tench, great. I'm pleased I caught those. They were both positive bites, and I hit them and I hooked them. There's been a lot of other sort of playing around with the float sort of things, sort of lifting of the float. A couple of occasions the float's just gone zooming away, but in a very fast way, almost as if it was a liner, you know, something's brushed against it and dragged it under. yeah, it's been challenging. I hope with it clouding over, things will liven up a bit, but it's not happened. I've had plenty of bird company, ducks and moorhens and baby-born moorhens. Kept me interested, more so than the fish. Yeah, I'm going to say a couple more casts and I'm going to call it. Cheese paste hasn't produced, oh no, that could be a bite. I was going to say cheese paste hasn't produced a bite today, but I think I did have one bite on it and missed it. I'm back on lunch and meat, which has been the most consistent. Sweet corn did nothing. I think probably too big a hook for sweet corn. I'm fishing a size 10 hook. The good news is I got both the tench in. I've been losing fish recently with hook pulls. Two guys over there are packing up, so I'll let them pack up and then I'll pack up, because I have to get past those to get out and it's a bit tricky. They've got all this stuff over the path. Yeah, sort of disappointing today really. On one hand disappointing, on the other hand not. It's been very enjoyable sitting here. It's a lovely sort of place. A bit busier today. A bit more speaking going on or talking going on around the lake. Yeah, it's strange fishing, isn't it? But there was certainly more fish activity last week when I was here. Lots of bubbles and lots of movement. Yeah. See, that floater's drifted quite a lot. What's happening? The line gets caught on all this crap here and it just pulls the float. I can't sink the line because there's too much crap in the way. Let me make this the last cast, I think. I'll see how I go. Finally hooked one, folks. I think it's a bream. Yeah. I think I might have foul hooked it. No, I think it's hooked fairly. That's not a bad bream, is it? That's quite a nice fish. Nice colour. Hold you up, shall we? Alright, let's put you back in. Well, that's it, folks. I'm just having sort of tackled down and packed my gear. I'm just sitting down because my I'm fine sitting down, you know, but when I get up, this sciatica absolutely crucifies me. Anyway, yeah, enough of that. Anyway, a bit of a strange day, really. Bit of a strange day. I got 2 tench and I was after tench, so I'm more than pleased with that. But in between times, not much was happening really. There wasn't the same sort of evidence of fish movement as there was last week. Last week there was lots of bubbling and there was lots of reed movement, but not so much today. The bream at the end, after sort of getting a lot of strange half bites, I called them, I managed to hook that bream, which sort of rounded things off reasonably nicely, but it was really dead in between times. It was a lovely place to sit and lots of bird activity, ducks and moorhens and little ones. Yeah, great really. Anyway, thanks for watching as always, and thank you as always to the subscribers. I seem to get more subscribers each month according to my analytics, but I must lose them as well because the total doesn't seem to climb that much. But anyway, it's not a problem. I'm not that worried really. But yeah, it's a bit odd really. Yeah, there we go. Anyway, as I say, thanks to the subscribers, those of you who are hanging on, and thanks for all the likes to the videos and the comments. Much appreciated. I'll be out again, but I'm not sure where. I'm sort of running out of options really. Not too many lakes around where I am that I really like fishing, and this one I do, but I've been here twice now. I ought to try something different, but we'll see how we go. Anyway, so that's it for now. So until the next time, it's bye for now and cheers.